Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Hello everyone and welcome to All for United. Today we have a really special show with a lovely group of panellists with us today. And it's also an All for United first. It's my first and hopefully not my last show that I'm presenting. That's for the powers to be, aka Ben. Today's show will focus on Ten Hag's dream signings, what to expect in the summer, who the players that we've been linked with, some of the player profiles. We'll bring it out all to the comments and try and see what you think. More importantly, who we should sign and what positions we'll go for. There's also been some outgoings confirmed by United today by the club, so we'll discuss briefly about that, although it was pretty obvious. Also, if you're in the comments, please make sure to chuck in anything that you want us to discuss. We'll try and get round to it, and we'll go from there. We do have one more coming in, is John, but we'll chuck him in as soon as he's available. Fellas, how are we today?
Good. All good.
Good.
Not bad. Not too
good.
bad.
Very lively. That's what I like. No, all right. What we'll do, Gavin, I'll come straight to you first. I want to throw in a bit of a question. I think it's quite obvious, but we'll go with it. What do you think is the most important position for us going into this summer window? And who would you buy for that position? So it could be anyone you think, whatever position, floor's yours.
Well, it's been the most important one for the last 2 seasons. This will be the third summer, so it's got to be that midfield. It's something that we've been crying out for the last, what feels like forever. So I think, yes, we do need somebody to partner Ronaldo up front. Yes, we do need to shore up the defence, and there are other areas that I'm sure we'll discuss. But for me, it has to be the midfield. Luxury dream signing would be De Jong, but if
that's your luxury signing, De Jong. Well, if you had a blank check.
Well, looking at where we are, and the fact that we've only got the option of Europa League, we're not in the Champions League. He is that signing that, he wants to go to a Champions League club. But if we can sort of get Ten Hag to persuade him, I mean, I don't know. For me, I would be happy if we got him in. But I think realistically, there has to be a cut-off date.
Do you think it's a problem that we are going to a certain player and trying to convince them to get them in a red United shirt? Do you think that's a problem?
I think if we want to get the players of his ilk, I think we've got to convince them, because we're not in the Champions League. We're not in a position where we can say we are a team that is fighting on all fronts. We're in a rebuild. So a player of that sort of level, we might have to convince. But especially when you've got somebody like Eric Ten Hag and players like that, and players like Donny, they can sort of say, well, look, okay, yes, you might not be in the Champions League this season, but you can be the catalyst in that engine room to get us in the Champions League. So there is a bit of convincing to do, because we're not there right now. But I think it is an enticing enough project that can get somebody to change their mind. I don't think it's going to be another Di Maria situation where if we convince him to come and he comes, he's basically going to be vile. I don't think it's going to be a similar situation to that.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. To be fair, with Di Maria, it was a different scenario. Yes, we had to persuade him. He didn't want to leave Real Madrid at the time. and he obviously came and lit up the place, and then he stunk out the place straight after. I completely get it. So, okay, 1 tick for Frankie de Jong, which is pretty good for you, Gavin, because we're actually in for him. So let's see what happens in the next few days. Ton, I'll come over to you. Same question. If you blank check, it could be anyone attainable. Who would you buy? What position for? And floor's yours. How would you do it?
Blank check. And is that based on the manager as well, as in the profile he needs? Because that's very important.
Yeah. Someone that can fit in. I say blank check, right? But let's just say a realistic signing. I mean, of course, we would want to go out and go get the absolute best in Paul Pogba. Oh, that's a bit awkward. But who you
realistically, Black, it has to be de Jong then, isn't it? To be that guy, to be the start of that midfield project, because obviously reports is he wants to sort out the midfield first. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for people that know me in the Twitter realm, I predicted this was going to happen. I said it on this channel before. I predicted this was going to happen 3 months ago. I literally predicted he was
every Ajax player.
He was going to go for de Jong, and he was going to go for either De Ligt or just a centre back that understands the way that he wants to play. I predicted in each line, so centre back, midfield, and attack, he was going to go for a player, because it just makes sense. And the way that he wants to play is very, it's a difficult thing to do, the way he wants to play, and you've got to sort of understand a certain way of playing. And it just made sense, because I remember one thing, a quote he said, whatever quotes I watched, it was in the Champions League press conference, when he said, unfortunately, we're Ajax and we can't buy the best players. We're a selling club. So that told me if he was in charge of a big club, he's going to want the best players or players that he deemed good for Ajax, or the top players. He's going to want to try and get them back. And that's why I predicted this a long time ago, because even though I know people speculate he was going to go for all these new unearthed kids, he told you in his last job, if he could go for big players, he will go for them, but he can't. So man, that's fair enough. Signing for me, man.
That's fair. To be fair, I think most people will go for that midfielder. We've been screaming for a midfielder for, I mean, how many years? We've signed pretty much every position there is, apart from a defensive midfielder, a proper box to box player. So yeah, that's fair enough. That's 2 to Frankie de Jong. John, I'll come to you next. Who do you think we should go for? What position is most needed in the 11?
Good evening, everyone. Apologies for being late with my camera and all that, but So I think it's definitely midfield that you need to look at. I do agree with Gavin, Mr. Tonda. Obviously, de Jong is an ideal player. I think the issue with de Jong is that he's perhaps better offensively than he is defensively, and I think the stats back it up. I think if you were to sign him, you need someone else who's maybe a bit more defensive. Man, obviously, with England with cancer, it's not necessarily someone I'd go for. I think someone who we maybe have a chance to sign if we were to push is maybe someone like Reuben Neves, maybe. Someone who he's a bit more defensive minded, perhaps. And I think, in an ideal world, I would like to sign both of them, and that will massively improve the midfield. And I don't think signing just one of them will solve our midfield issues, but they'd certainly improve it. But for me, aside from de Jong, I think maybe someone like Reuben Neves would be someone who I would personally go for, because of he's perhaps more defensive minded, in my opinion.
Sorry, John, to ask you, do you mean like someone like Neves as in a pair, or like a single DM, if that makes sense?
As a pair, because I don't think I think Ten Hag's system at Ajax, he tended to have like 2 midfielders, but neither of them were particularly like defensive, but neither were ultra attacking. They were like, doing almost the same role together. So I just think if you have someone like de Jong who's better offensively, you need to have someone who can still progress the ball, but is maybe slightly better defensively, perhaps, to compensate for that. So yeah, as a pair, that's what I would look to do. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, Reuben Neves. To be fair, I have liked Reuben Neves. Neves. I've always liked Reuben Neves. Tried and tested Premier League. Honestly, he does great at Wolves. I know Arsenal. I think last summer they were in for him, weren't they? And I swear I know a few Arsenal fans, good friends of mine, and they all actually didn't want him for some reason. And I was a bit scratching my head about that one. But this season he has actually shown that Neves could be. He could be the guy. But we're not the master tacticians here. We only have our opinion. Henry, how's it going, my man? Same question to you. Who would you buy? What position for?
Oh, Bissouma, within a heartbeat. And I would even prioritize him over De Jong, if I'm being honest, just because it's been such a problem position for United in the last few years. We're in a position where, although it wouldn't be my first choice, we've still got the likes of Fred who can play that role. I assume Bruno's probably going to drop a little bit deeper and play the number 8 role if he goes with a 3 in midfield. So yeah, I would put Bissouma there because he can play on his own in a more defensive role. He's done it for Brighton for a couple of seasons and it has shone for me brighter than most of the defensive midfielders in the league. And again, playing that role on his own is something that he does for club and country. So he's an expert in it, and I think that you need to bring in experts in their position rather than trying to shoehorn them into a position that they're not maybe familiar with. So yeah, him within a heartbeat.
Is he on his last year of his contract? He is, isn't he? I think going into next season.
He's got one or 2 years. Whether they've got an option to extend, I don't know, but he's definitely got 1 or 2 years left.
Yeah,
So that's a smart deal. If Brighton want to keep hold of him and then let him go on a free, that they could be losing out on 30-40 million quid. So it would make sense. And again, I know that Premier League proven isn't usually the benchmark for a player, but it's always helpful to have a player that knows the league and knows the intensity, so they didn't have to adapt when it comes to being in the first team. So yeah, he would be my priority, and then you can kind of move in players around him. I think the De Jong thing, I like him as a player; he's fantastic. But if we're going to pay this asking price that the 85 million euros or 80 million euros they're asking for, I mean, I'm a bit pissed at the budget anyway. The Glazers have given Ten Hag. Supposedly, it's a bit of a joke. If we're looking to rebuild this squad, it is a bit of a joke. You can't give someone 120 million quid to rebuild this.
The whole
one of the worst United sides we've seen in history, in terms of statistically last season. So. Yeah, I would be leaning towards a proper defensive midfielder first, before anything else, before centre-back, before a number 8, before an attacker. Get the position that has been the problem area for United in the last few years sorted and get it done early.
I don't think we're going to be playing with 1 DM, though, are we? I think we'll be playing with either 2 6s or 2 8s. I don't think there'll be one lone DM.
I think it'll be... I think... I would have thought he would go, because with their system last year with Alvarez, he tended to drop into either a more defensive shape when they're attacking, which Bissouma can do if you're looking at the way that Brighton progressed the ball anyway. But I understand the point that he might go with 2 8s, but the problem with that is you need someone at least who can progress the ball but can also win it back high up the pitch. And Bissouma is a much better specialist and a better version of Fred if we're looking at how he can win the ball high up the pitch and how he can progress it. So whichever system you choose to play, he's played in a 4 and played in a 5 for Brighton as well. So again, he's an adaptable player. I just think it's the least risky one. And if you're going to rebuild a squad,
he's the closest thing to Matic, isn't he?
Yeah, you need a sure thing in the squad. You
need a 10-year younger Matic, I think. That's what
and a lot more mobile as well. You need a mobile player if you're going to play either a 2 or even a 3. You're going to need a really mobile player, at least one in there. So, yeah, I think he fits that perfectly.
Basuma.
I just at a point there, yeah, and it's only because I get onto a lot of the fans that even everywhere I speak to them about, we need this defensive midfielder, and I've always said that every manager sees football differently. One manager could think they want a sort of a register sort of player, a deep line playmaker. One manager could see they want just a sitter. One manager could say they want a recycler. And one manager could be like they want an all-action midfielder. But the fact that Ten Hag wants De Jong and he's already got Donny in the team tells me he's trying to recreate that 19 Ajax team where it was a very fluid midfield. Even the other player, Sean, wasn't really like a defensive midfielder, if that makes sense. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And the fact that he wants, clearly all signs point to Timber, it tells me something. I'm just saying.
Do you reckon that? Sorry, just to chime in. Do you reckon that with Ten Hag, do you reckon he'll do anything like what Klopp and Guardiola have done, where they come into the league and they set up a similar kind of system where they don't have a specialist defensive midfielder, and then they go and buy, then they go and I think Klopp and Guardiola have gone and bought defensive midfielders.
No, but Pep technically had a defensive midfielder, but Rodri, even though he's not a defense. That's what I'm saying. If you look at their team now, Rodri's not really in the ilk of Fabinho. He's nothing like that. It's a totally different player. That's what I'm saying.
He's 2 8s and a 10, really, isn't it?
Yeah, like he swapped it now. That's what I'm saying. And the only one that I can, even Fabinho, yes, he's defensive minded because technically he was a right back and centre back, so he's just a defender playing in midfield, if that makes sense. So in that sense, I get that, but it's only, I've always just said this to people, just literally when everyone was telling me about Phillips and Rice, I said, listen, Ten Hag sees football differently. Listen, Ajax is my third favourite club. Barcelona is my second, and I've always said this, and then my fourth is West Ham, unfortunately, but Man United is my first. So I got a keen eye on those teams. So I know Ajax enough to be like, this manager, people are going to be surprised.
I think the best thing is close to Rodri, isn't he? And Fabinho, especially in terms of his output with passing and range and statistically in terms of his percentages in passing every game. I think he's up there with the likes of Rodri and Fabinho. So I just, we can't get this wrong. Now, this summer window cannot, if it goes wrong, big problems, huge problems if this goes wrong, because they've got to get the right people through the door, and they've got to listen to the manager. Him first and foremost. Don't listen to their own scouts or opinions or whatever. Listen to the manager. He's the most important person in this.
Scouts aren't actually there anymore, which is. I mean,
a couple, I think.
Yeah, I mean the chief head scouts, I think it was Lawler, and I forgot the other name. I mean they've been let go, haven't they? And I think what John Murtough's doing at the club is, and along with others, Richard Arnold, that they are restructuring everything. Andy O'Boyle's now come in as one of the deputy director of football. Hopefully we can see a bit of change, and all the reports are coming out that it's Frankie de Jong that we want. It's Julian Timber, I've probably butchered that name, and Darwin Nunez. So look, if those are the 3 first signings that we're going to go for, and I don't think 3 signings are going to do it for us, I think we do need probably a couple more, if we're being totally honest. If they are the first 3 that he said, he being Eric Ten Hag, saying, okay, yeah, get me those 3 and then we'll work. And it's progressing into something a bit better, I would say. So what we'll do then, we've obviously discussed the positions that we want to firstly go. I think we've all unanimously agree that a defensive midfielder is definitely what we need right now. So what I'll do is, we've got a few players leaving. Obviously, we've had the club today that have let go Pogba and Lingard. Lovely little messages, and their social media posts have come out and said thank you to the fans. Don't know how genuine really that is, but we'll see. So we've had Pogba, Lingard obviously go. We've had Cavani, Grant, Mata, Matic, Martial potentially leaving. There could be Axel Tuanzebe, Bailly, Jones. Now this is the proper rebuild that we're really going for. Gavin, I'll come to you next. Is it a good or bad thing that we're letting so many players go in one go, or should we really be drip feeding them out the club? What do you think of it?
Well, it can only be a good thing if we're then investing in the market to try and replace some of the areas that will quite obviously be light. A lot of the names that you mentioned are either at the end of the contract, and the ones which aren't are surplus to requirement. So there are some which you might get a little bit of money for, like Martial. and a few others. So it's going to be, I think, the first real test of this new United to see whether or not they're actually going to be competent enough to A, get these players out the door, and B, then see what they can bring in as backup. Because obviously, if we're letting that many players go, you can't expect to then replace the same amount. But you do need to then try and bring somebody in. Like 3 is not going to be enough. And then the ones, if you can't sell them, they need to go out on loan. They can't be kept at the club next season. They just can't, because it'll just set that dressing room up to add that toxicity, the cliques. We're trying to have a completely fresh start, and we need to be able to look at it and go, right, okay, the ones that don't want to be here, let's get them out the door. And most of the people that you've just said are either at the end of the contract, don't want to be here, or just they're not going to be used. So I think this will be the first big test for this new board, the new direction that we're supposed to be going in. Can they be effective enough to get these players out the door, to give a clean slate with regards to who we're going to bring in, and say, right, this is what we're going to work with next season?
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, again, it always does depend on with the players leaving, as long as the club then starts reinvesting that money. And traditionally, what we've seen over the years, I don't think we've actually had such a big clear out ever before. I mean, okay, look, only 3 or 4 players have gone yet, and it is only the 1st of June, so there could be many more to come. But there seems like there's a sort of a sign in the back end where there's like, right, we don't need these players. Let's just get rid. There's 4 or 5 different managers that had their time with these players. I'll come to you, Ton, on the next point, which is out of that list, out of Pogba, Lingard. I mean, Cavani's already gone. Grant, Matic. Is there anyone there that you think? I think we should keep those players. I think we should maybe loan them out. Maybe we should keep them, give them another chance, perhaps. You're looking at me and you're thinking absolutely no chance.
First thing, the only time before we had a clear out like this was LVG when he came in. We had like 13 players leave in one window. I think it was 11 or 13. And there was even some notables named like Evra, Vidic, Ferdinand. They all went out the door. But all the names you mentioned, I have a problem with to see the back of them, to be honest with you. I don't. There's no problem with me. I can see the back of them. It probably helped as well, because then it gives now the manager a reason to be like, to go to the board or sit down with them to be like, okay, I need A, B, and C because this man and he's gone. Do you know what I mean? It's easier that way. Whereas if you kept all these players now and you say, okay, but I want 5 new players, but you've got how many? You've got 10 leaving out the door. It's a bit easier to be like, okay, get 5 new players. It just makes logical sense to me.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Or on the subject of outs, I did see that the Athletic today, Laurie Whitwell, who is pretty close to United and the board, he doesn't seem to get many things wrong. Today for the Athletic, what's that? Sorry, say again.
I said he doesn't, to be honest, when it comes in regards to United.
And he is close to the club. I know some people have reservations about the Athletic, which is fair enough. But every single time I've seen Laurie Whitwell write something, 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out, they're right. He's correct. So, he came out with an article today and he said Paul Pogba sent Solskjaer text messages in the summer of 2020 asking for a new contract. Solskjaer replied he was pressing the board, but ultimately all Man United did was trigger the extension of his existing deal. That outcome left Pogba deflated. John, I'll come to you on that. And I know Pogba is a bit of a sore subject with a lot of the fans. Personally speaking, for me, I think he has been a success. I know he came for 90 million quid. He still scored in a cup final for us. He won a European trophy with us. He's won a couple of trophies with us, and he's been okay. I don't think he's been absolutely dreadful. Where do you sit with that statement and Solskjaer trying to get him to extend, and the club just not having it?
I mean, it obviously points to that the club making decisions the manager, doesn't it? I mean, we've been in that scenario before with Martial, Mourinho, haven't we, and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think we've covered the debate for a long time now. Yeah, and I think it's it is one of them. I don't think it's worked out. I think it's not all Pogba's fault, but at the same time, he's not entirely blameless. So it's an end to the saga. It's quite sad the way it's ended and that kind of thing. But I just think now it's right for him to move on. It's right for the club to move on, and thank you for your service, and good luck for rest of your career, but we've got to move forwards now, and unfortunately it hasn't. Aside from that first season, we've not won anything under Pogba, have we? Unfortunately, but that's not his fault. We can obviously we've been discussing the CDM we needed for years, and if we had got that, maybe we got better Pogba, maybe, but that's a great what if, isn't it? But I think it's interesting. I think it does show that the club is trying to remove some of the dead blood. I know that they're out of contract and that kind of thing, but it's interesting because was it yesterday that Pogba said, "I'm going to reveal my new club" on his documentary like June 17th, and 24 hours later, United saying, "Well, you're not staying with us," So it's a bit of a I don't know what you call it, but it does show progress from the club that we are starting to release some of these players. We can't keep all these players who aren't going to be playing much and that kind of thing. And but like you say, you got to get some players in as well. So it's I think a good window would maybe be get rid of 9-10 players, maybe bring 4 or 5 in. That's what you're perhaps looking at. But you got to make sure you buy the right players on that kind of thing. So it is a test for this summer. So I think that's. But I think today's a positive day. I think.
Yeah, no. To be fair, there was a bit of rejoice. I think if that's the right word, with Lingard and Pogba leaving. There was a lot of reports coming out that the virus and the famous incident with Jose Mourinho, and there was cliques in the dressing room, and it all kind of it felt like that it all kind of stemmed from Paul Pogba, Jesse Lingard sort of kind of types. Henry, I'll come to you next in terms of all the outgoings. Is there anyone that you would keep from the outgoings? So we've got, I could probably name you about 15 players, but I'm pretty sure you know them. Do you think there's anyone that you would keep there and think, okay, look, one more year, or we might be light in that position?
No. the problem, the biggest problem I have is replacing the players that are going out. If you're looking at in terms of business in the last 10 years, the best bit of business the Glazer family have done, or director of football, whatever, is getting rid of Dan James for 25 million. That's the best bit of business they've probably done. Other than that, it's been pretty garbage. And I know it's been
Dan James was like the first. Was he the first player we made profit on since Ronaldo?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and he was he was a glorified sprinter. So, again, I'm looking at all these tweets and stuff about how Pogba's been a failure, etc., etc. I don't think he's helped himself. I don't think the club have helped him at all, in the sense that they said they'd build a title-winning side around him, and they just didn't. He ended up playing with Andreas Pereira at one point. I was thinking, oh my word, this is bad. So
he hasn't left yet either, Henry.
No, he's still clinging on
Pereira's
to his teeth somehow. I don't know what's going on. Because Flamengo have gone, we're not paying whatever we've asked, like 15 million quid. Why would you pay 15 million quid for that donkey? He's absolutely garbage.
I don't even know when his contract ends. This is the worrying thing about it.
You would see better players in the under 15s team at Carrington. So it's a bit tragic that this is all happening. But I think that the fact that we're all kind of like, oh yeah, Pogba's left, etc. if you just look back at it, it's embarrassing yet again for the club. £91 million was the supposed figure, and he's gone free. Like, what was it? 6 years later? Was it 2016 or 2017? We bought him.
Yeah, 16, I think.
Something like that. So I mean, that just goes to show. And then I get the whole the text message stuff is a bit of a shambles. I get that, but if Solskjaer was pushing for a new contract and it didn't happen, it's yet another sign of this Glazer dictatorship where they're just refusing to back the managers or refusing to listen to what they have to say. They did it at Mourinho. They did it with Van Gaal. Van Gaal was a bit unfortunate, I think, in the sense that he won a trophy and then got sacked a few days later. And then they did it with Solskjaer. And I really hope they don't do it with Ten Hag, because I think this is the Glazer family. I think it's their last straw in terms of their last chance at getting any success out of this team. They've got to get this right, and they can't continue this whole this shenanigans with not backing managers and this. Yeah, again, it's just not good. The players that are leaving are going to leave. If we can get rid of them, because they're all on pretty big contracts. The ones that aren't out of contract, they're all on pretty big wages. So it's a case of offloading them somehow, because why would Phil Jones accept a deal that's half of what he's getting now?
Yeah,
and even though he's going to be playing, he could be still be earning 120k a week. They need to cut their losses, the owners, on these players, and just accept that you can't make business transactions when it comes to players. You can't keep signing them on new contracts because you see them as commercial assets. That's just not how a football club should work. And it's never. I highly doubt anyone could name me a club in which that model has worked. For starters, I don't think any other club has actually tried it.
It's
before.
a very American way of running a sports team.
Yeah, but over there you get rewarded for failure, because you don't get relegated or you don't get punished or nothing happens if you're garbage for a season in American football or in the MLS or whatever. So it doesn't operate that way, especially in European football. It doesn't operate that way. So yeah, I would try and offload these players, but again, the talk of up to 15 or 10 or whatever, I don't think that will happen, because these players are on big wages. Why would they want to go if they're going to earn themselves a better living? For another couple of years.
Yeah.
So it's a huge fundamental problem with the club now, because we're going to have hangers on who aren't going to be in the match day squads, who are going to still be on 100k a week. It's ridiculous.
Would it be beneficial short term or even long term to terminate some of the contracts? Obviously, some of them are going to be on a bit more longer contracts, so like 2-year contracts, maybe not terminating those. But ones which have got a year left on their contracts, maybe saying, right, we're going to cut our losses, terminate the contract. Thank you very much. On your way.
That's a hope, but I don't see it happening, because the Glazers are set to take their dividends again. They're £11 million. They're set to take that again, even though United financially, after the pandemic, were in a bit of trouble and the debt's increased yet again. I think that the worry is if there's a question as to whether they would do that money comes out of the transfer budget.
That's what I was just about to say. Yeah.
Which would become an even bigger problem, because you don't want a situation where we're depleting the budget that's already, by the way, it's already garbage. I can't reiterate this enough. It is dreadful for a club that gets the revenue and turnover that United does year in, year out. I get you've got to service the debt. These guys keep taking dividends, 11 million quid. 11 million quid could be the difference between getting a quality midfielder and a reasonable average midfielder. That's the difference 11 million quid can make, but they're still going to take that money. So this idea that they're backing Ten Hag massively, are they? Like, if we don't see transfers worth up to 200, 225 million or whatever in terms of the incomings in total, it's not been a good window, because the club clearly haven't backed a new manager in the way that they backed Solskjaer. They backed Solskjaer with more money than 120 million. Yeah. So we've got to see this. It's got to be 6 or 7 at least incomings, because this squad is just, it's light in every position. It's light or garbage. And those are not the two things you want to be mixing within a squad, even, you know, in every position. I'd go as far to say.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. Which actually, to be fair, I've got a couple of topics written down on my phone, and I think that kind of moves quite nicely into my next one, which is realistically, if Eric Ten Hag, if he does get his targets, you know, if we get a Frankie De Jong, if we get our Darwin Nunez, we get Julian Timber, I think I said that right, and we get a couple more players, we could get another winger, we could get another right back. You know, I'm just going to say Timber. It's honestly, I'm going to get clipped soon, and it's going to be around on social media. Yeah. So look, realistically, if Ten Hag does, if he gets his players, if he gets his 5 or 6 players this window, and I'll throw this out to the whole panel. We'll go one by one. We'll start with Gavin. What do you think is a realistic target for the club? Are you expecting something magical to happen? I think every fan is expecting that. But realistically, where do you think that if Eric Ten Hag can get his players and work with the current squad, what do you think is realistic for the next season?
For me, I'd probably hope for 5. I'd want the spine, where you got the centre-back, midfielder, attacker, striker. And then maybe, I know that he's looking at the flanks, the fullbacks. I don't know whether I know that Dalot is staying apparently, so it's
Luke
probably
Shaw and Dalot he really likes apparently.
Yeah, so it's probably looking more likely to be a backup to Dalot or on the left-hand side. So I would, depending on how many we sell, or depending on how many go out the door, I would like it to be 5 or over. But if we can create and generate the funds, then I'd like us to start looking in the, using the scouts and saying, right, find us a gem, find us something out there.
His player profile,
yeah. Someone that we can get in, that we can nurture, that we can say, right, let's turn this kid into a star. So I'd be hopeful that although we can get the positions that we need, I'd like us to at least have our fingers in the pudding to basically get these gems that are out there that we just don't seem to get.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Ton, how about you? Players, how many reckon we can sign realistically, and where do you think we can get up next season?
Just for the record, I don't know about you guys. I haven't personally seen anything that states he actually likes Luke Shaw, and I'm not getting onto him. I'm just saying it. I haven't seen one thing that says he actually likes Luke Shaw. I'm just saying it.
So you don't like Luke Shaw?
The main, no, I'm not here to a mediocre players that's been here since 2014, and you know what I mean, they've had numerous chances. The managers, let's not go into that now. But I feel like the 3 targets that's in the media, I feel like definitely might be pushing for that. If I'm basing it on the report from Saturday from the Athletic, Whitwell once again, who
we lost him. I think we've lost him. That's all right. No, that's a lovely picture he's left there with us as well.
Yeah,
what we'll do is, John, we'll move to you. So realistically, how many do you reckon we'll get? I'll remove him as well because that's.
I'd say, I reckon 4 or 5 this summer. I think we'll definitely sign a defender, a midfielder, maybe a second midfielder. I think we'll get a forward player, and I think we'll get a full right back as well. I don't know who, but I've just got a feeling we'll probably sign them right back. So for me, that would be my expectations. Also got De Jong, and I do think Ten Hag will probably look for like a cheaper option. Maybe one which we might not be linked with at the moment, perhaps, and that kind of thing. But obviously, I do think we'll get Timber. I do think we'll probably get De Jong because of Barcelona's financial situation. Nunez, the interesting one. I think we got a chance, but other people interested, I reckon, and yeah, so I reckon about 4 or 5 we'll get.
Nice. Henry, how about you? Same question.
Again, I try to
12, 15.
Honestly, I love to be hopeful. I really love to be hopeful, but I don't believe in anything until I see it. So the optimistic side goes 7 players in, ideally. I know there was something about Luke, whether Luke Shaw is liked or whatever. If Luke Shaw can keep himself fit, then he might be all right. But I don't know. The problem is you can't go and buy I don't think you can go and buy the 7 to 8 players and integrate them all. They can't all be first team players for starters. They can't all be starting 11 players. That's just not going to happen. It's not realistic because they cost too much money, especially for what the owners are going to give the manager. So we're going to have to settle on some positions. We might have to settle for, I know people love De Gea, we might have to settle for him because he's not very good with his feet. Not at all. I think Ten Hag's going to have an aneurysm when he sees him do his kicking in his first training session. So, because it's pretty woeful. So we're going to have to settle on some little positions. I think the realistic amount is 4 to 5. And it pains me to say it because, Ranić said 10 and the Glazers have gone, whoa, okay, off you go, pal.
Yeah, that's concerning.
Your expectations are too high, which is a bit embarrassing. So, yeah, I think 4 to 5. I don't know who they're going to be necessarily. I know the talk of Nunez and stuff. He's going to cost a bomb. We're talking about Gavin. You mentioned about hidden gems. I think trying to find the next hidden gem. Julian Alvarez was available for 17.5 million in January.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't go
up on him. Because these tossers at the top of the club were not willing to fork out just over the amount of money that they take out in dividends to put in their own back pockets. So I think that we'll get 4 to 5, and the aim would be to challenge for some sort of cup because we've been deprived of success. And I know fans of lower league clubs would say, "Oh, you're in a luxury position, whatever." For Manchester United, it's very embarrassing to go over 5 years without a trophy. Very, very embarrassing. So challenge for some sort of cup, and top 4 is, it's a necessity. I laughed when we didn't get top 4 this year. I actually did laugh because it means that the Glazers don't get their precious Champions League money. It means Adidas are pissed with them because the kit deal, in terms of exposure, they're not going to get as much money now. So that's a lot of money down the toilet, and it will just mess with them a little bit. So yeah, not high expectations, mate. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I have to be when it comes to Manchester United at the moment. We can't all be hopeful because we're going to get thrown back into reality pretty soon.
Yeah, that's
just
fair
being
enough.
a realist. Just being a realist.
You have to be with United.
You have to be with United, don't you? Sometimes, fellas. So, what I'll do is I've got this. I saw this interesting topic I saw on Twitter. Look, I've nicked it from someone else, so I'm going to do it in the show. They were going through a list of players that we've currently got, and they were basically saying sell or keep. So it'd be really good. I'll throw it over to the panel. I'll throw it into the comment section as well if you're watching. Just quickly chuck a comment in if you'll rather sell or if you'll keep this player. So we'll do this really quick, like quick fire round. First thing that comes to your head. I think this is going to be quite obvious, to be honest. But David De Gea, sell or keep?
Keep.
Keep.
Sell.
Tom?
Sell.
2-2. Okay. All right. No, fair enough. Hopefully the comments can catch up with us as well. Right. Okay. So we've Tom Heaton's still with us, isn't he? I'm pretty sure he is. He's going to stay with us. So Tom Heaton, sell or keep?
Keep.
Probably keep at the moment.
Keep. Okay. We got a sell David De Gea by Jarvis. So fair enough. Okay, so I think we're agreeing that we're going to sell David De Gea. Dean Henderson, sell or keep?
Sell.
Sell.
So
Oh wow. Okay, fair enough. I won't go through absolutely everyone because there's. I'm actually on the United page right now, and it's showing me all kinds of players. But Victor Lindelof, sell or keep?
Keep.
Keep. Eric Bailly.
Sell.
Sell.
So
Oh, wow. Okay. Phil Jones.
Sell.
So
No, keep him.
Keep for the
Wait.
bands.
release on a
Cornbreaker.
free. Release on a free. Cancel
I'll
contract.
take it to the airport myself. We've got a few coming in saying keep Henderson, keep Lindelof. Dean Henderson, sell, not good enough. Okay, so yeah, I think we're all on the same vibe. This one's going to be a bit controversial. Mr. Captain, Harry Maguire, keep or sell?
Sell.
Oh Lord. Cancel
Keep,
contract.
but keep, but the draw is out for next season.
I'd say sell, but I think that they'll keep. I do think he'll be with us next season.
Okay, so
Sell
2-1 to
Sell
sell.
and buy a canal
Tom?
boat for 10% of the price.
Ton, keep or
Cancel
sell?
his contract. Cancel his contract.
Cancel his contract. Okay.
All right.
All right, so
Take
3-1 to
the
sell
loss.
on
Take the
Maguire.
loss. Take the loss, man. Take
It's a
it.
shout.
Fuck it. Take the loss.
Sell Maguire is Tyrone. He's saying that. Okay, fair enough. Mr. Champions League, Rafael Varane. Keep for me, obviously.
Keep.
Yeah,
Keep.
I think we're all going to agree to keep Mr. Varane. Diogo Dalot.
Keep.
I'll
Keep.
keep. Okay, everyone's saying
keep.
That's fair enough. Luke Shaw, another interesting one. Keep or sell?
Sell.
Keep.
Keep.
Really, Ton?
Cancel.
You
That's
wanna
another
sell.
cancel contract.
Cancel
That's
the
another
contract.
cancel contract.
Mr. Tal is
2014. 2014.
Carlos.
Mr. Tal's
many
going to
years?
cancel about 90%.
Listen. How many? Tell me one consistent season that we've had from Luke Shaw since 2014. One.
Carlos.
But that wasn't a consistent season. Even that's the
It
problem.
was good. It was okay. It was,
No,
it
it
was
was
good.
very
He was
good
good.
that
He was
season.
good. He was good that season.
It was
His
very
output,
he was good.
his output wasn't even half of Alexander Arnold's or Robertson's that season.
Yeah, no, but
Exactly.
they're freaks though, in there. I mean, like,
You,
the
no,
whole
but even
output goes
no,
through
but
those them
you,
two.
you know what it is? I base it on not what's in front of me because I watch a lot of European football, so I base it on the whole of football. And he's just a very average or even less average left back in the whole of football. That's the problem.
I do think there are certain players in the squad, if we talk about challenging for the title in, let's say, 3 years, if we're lucky, there are certain players that perhaps aren't good enough for them, but you can't sell all of them this summer.
I guess it's ideal scenario, but he won't be sold.
So for me, with it, there are a lot more players that get rid of before Luke Shaw, but I'm not necessarily saying he'd be the left back if we win the title. So you just can't be realistic, I think.
The least of our problems, I think everyone's agreeing with that.
I think Shaw's best performances have been when Rashford has been on it. Their link-up play down the wing when Rashford is on it. That's when you see the best of Shaw, when you've got the overlapping and when Rashford is tracking back. And I think they sort of coincide with how they both play. And when they're both off the boil, it's the whole wing is down, whether it's Rashford at front or Shaw at the back. It's so blatantly obvious to anybody watching that.
If we get a lot of outgoings, I'm taking at fullback position because I don't know if anyone's following because I follow United a lot, everything, all the rumours, everything. We're actually watching a left back right now, and he even got asked today about Man United. He gave a little wink. He even gave a little wink, and said,
"Who was
wait
it?"
And see.
It's Malacia, the final left back.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So let's wait and see. It's about the outgoings. That's very important, isn't it? What happens?
So we'll move on to Alex Telles. Keep or sell?
Sell.
Keep.
Sell.
I love this topic. It's brilliant. Okay, so sell. I think we're all agreeing to sell Telles. All right, fair enough.
Keep him. Keep him.
Do you know what? That's what I am.
Keep Telles.
I will keep him. Only reason because my thinking is this, and my thinking, if you want to get rid of, you want to do a proper rebuild, right? you always get rid of the players that have been there the longest first. That's what you start off. And then the players you just recently got in the door, right? You give them that year and be like, if you don't perform, you're on the chopping board. Just how those went, you're on the chopping board next year. That's what you always do. You get rid of the players that have been there the longest first. You always do that.
I just think output could be crucial next year. And I know he's been bashed a lot this year. And I have to agree in terms of defensively, he's been all over the place. But he hasn't really had the guidance in terms of the two managers that he's had to play that position to his full potential like he did at Porto. I mean, he was playing in the Champions League consistently and consistently well as well. So I think United fans have overlooked that. I've never seen Luke Shaw have consistent performances in the Champions League, and yet Tellez is back. So
Luke Shaw, by the way, has 4 goals. 4 goals, if I'm correct. It's 4.
He's a left back.
Wait, let me finish. Let me finish. 4 goals in 8 seasons. That's bad.
We were told Tellez had a brilliant set piece delivery. He doesn't. 14
assists, by the way. 14 assists. That's bad. Top level, that's bad for fullback.
So in the comments, we've got Jarvis is saying, let's keep them all except Varane. Sorry, let's sell them all except for Varane, Bruno and Sancho. Also keep the youth. Okay, fair enough. Tyrone is saying, Alex Tellez has to be sold. He would sell Shaw. I mean, there's a lot of players here we're selling, and I think, to be honest, I think the next one, there's the last defender, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, keep or sell.
Off you go, mate.
I would keep him. Oh, okay, that's
what?
just me.
Why? What you think? Third centre back vibe?
Who?
No.
Honestly,
the
ballerina, Booker T.
To be honest, look, I don't think Aaron Wan-Bissaka's that bad. Apparently, I think the only reason why people don't like him is 1, because Solskjaer got him in. 2, he looks like Bambi on ice when he plays football, which is all right. And third of all, is they want Dalot
exactly a ballerina
because it's more aesthetically pleasing. But to be honest, Dalot doesn't really do much other than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka one-on-one defending can stop any right winger in the world.
Bainesy, you're right in terms of one-on-one defending.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka
he has to one-on-one defend so much. He has to one-on-one defend so much because his positioning is so bad. He gets caught out positionally all the time, and that's why he has to one-on-one defend, because he's crap.
Yeah. So Jarvis is saying Wan-Bissaka should be sold. Sorry, not Jarvis. Tyrone's saying Wan-Bissaka. So we've got a few midfielders. I think the obvious ones like Paul Pogba, Mata, Lingard, they're obviously all going. Pereira's going. Ahmad, would we sell or keep Ahmad?
Keep.
I think it'll be keep, but loan. Really, isn't it?
Loan.
Yeah. Fred, keep or sell? Keep Fred. Bruno, obviously going to be keeping him, aren't we?
He needs to stop playing hero ball, though. Seriously.
I think that'll be coached out of him, hopefully.
Ten Hag needs to rip into him about that. You can't keep punting 40-yard balls every single time you're on the half turn, because we lose the ball. But was it the Palace goal, the last game of the season? And he tries to volley a pass across the pitch in his own half. What?
Donny van der Beek, keep or sell? Obviously keep, right? Eric Ten Hag coming in. Yikes.
Keep, of course.
Keep. Yeah.
His father's coming.
McTominay.
Sell.
Keep.
Sell.
Keep.
I'll keep for now.
I would personally keep McTominay.
Bang
Keep Fred. We've got keep Ahmad. Okay.
If he's actually played in the box-to-box role, then I'd keep him, because he has got that ability to.
We need a squad next season, man. We've got 5 subs coming in.
He plays
5 subs.
He can only play centre back for. He played centre back for Scotland tonight. He can only play centre back because he's not good. He's not better than John McGinn in midfield.
Yeah,
like, that's where United. No, that's where United are at. They don't trust him enough in midfield.
Scottish manager playing McTominay at defence when his defensive awareness is great, isn't. Well, the top manager will do that, would they?
But if we're being honest, he's not better than McGinn or Callum McGregor, is he? Like, really?
Yeah.
He would be great at Leeds, where they have 11 little Labradors running around trying to chase the ball for 90 minutes.
His 2 favourites.
Mind you, more like Cocker Spaniel with Dan James. It's like a excitable little
Sonic, wasn't it? Everyone called him Sonic on the wing. I found that quite funny.
Yeah, means to no end.
We've got obviously I haven't included any of the youngsters for obvious reasons. We've got obviously Jimmy Garner, we've got Hannibal there. I think we all should be keeping the youngsters, trying to see if there's any potential for them to go into the first team, whether they're good enough or not. You know, it's that old saying, if you're good enough, you're old enough kind of thing. We'll move over to the forwards, and I think this is obviously going to be an obvious one. Mr. 7, Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo. Keep. I think I'll be very shocked if someone says sell, by the way.
Sell.
No, you're joking. Come on. Are you serious?
Sell.
I don't
Would you
think
really? Would you sell him?
Wanted to.
Sell, because you see the problem with him, he's what people don't understand at Real Madrid and at Juventus, he was a problem for the manager and for the club in general, right? I just don't want that in the dressing room right now. That's just, we want to rebuild, want to refresh, and his age factors into it.
He's
okay, if you get now,
no. I'm not,
no. I don't disagree with that. He's a winner.
Like him in the dressing room.
My issue is when, let's just say the manager doesn't start him now, and that's my issue with him. That's the only my issue with him. I
don't think that'll be an
issue. It's not the player
Yeah.
itself. It's what comes with the player. If that makes sense, it's not the player himself. It's what comes with the player.
Well, in fairness, one thing you can say is Ten Hag's literally just said like a week ago that he's looking forward to working with him. So I think the argument that he doesn't like him is out the window already.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't say
I
don't know whether.
He guarantees goals.
This is
the
part where
37 years old.
Wait. To take the goals. This is what everyone jumping on me. Take the goals away from the personality in the dressing room. That's what I'm talking about. The person. No. Wait.
We need people who are going to hold
that. You actually read the reports of the stuff that he was doing, like undermining the manager. That's what I'm trying to say. All of that stuff he was doing that at Real Madrid and at Juventus. That's the stuff that I'm talking about. Not the winning mentality. It's the undermining stuff and the going against the regime. That sort of stuff. That's what's detrimental to the team.
I get what you're saying now, but if he was such an issue, then why didn't Real Madrid force him out earlier, and why didn't Juve force him out earlier?
Because they always picked his side.
Yeah,
that's what
it brings them success.
That's what happened, though.
I don't think it was an issue for the managers last season, though. I think a few others were.
Ronaldo brings you success, like regardless of all the other side of stuff. We don't want to keep Deadwood. I get that, but you want, as John mentioned, guaranteed goals next season. Guaranteed goals. He got goals in a side, one of our worst sides in history. He was the third top scorer in the league. We're looking at the likes of Sadio Mane, who we're praising heavily this season. Got more goals than him in the Premier League, and this was a dreadful United side. So
I think the other strength you have to do is I won't play him in the Europa League. I just simply say you're for the Premier League, one game a week, Premier League, and I think if you do that, I think he might score another 20 in the league next season.
He's not 37-year-old.
With Ronaldo, just quickly, what we saw with him was every single time he had a rest, if he had a week's rest, he would go out and score 2 and sometimes a hat trick. He did it at Tottenham. He did it at Norwich. You need to manage him. And the problem is with him this season, the reason why we played him so much was because Edinson Cavani decided to make himself fit and unfit whenever he wanted. The whole appointment was to switch with Eddie Cavani all the time. One game you play, that's the problem. Games, you play the cup games.
Did anyone actually see the reports with him when he did get dropped? He wasn't happy with it. This is what I'm trying to say. And then he will fly off to Portugal. That's my problem with it.
Yeah,
that's my problem. There's nothing wrong with the player.
Respectfully, the Europa League. I don't think Ronaldo is going to care about the Europa League.
I get what you're saying in terms of reports and stuff. But
some things he does is detrimental.
Yeah,
when he got subbed off, what did he say to the coach? And when the coach said, when he got explained about why he got subbed off, what was Ronaldo's reply?
Yeah, but
why couldn't you take one of the? That's not a good. That's what I'm trying to say. Why couldn't you take? This is what I'm trying to say. It's not against Ronaldo. I've supported Man United for how many years? I'm in my 30s, so I grew up when Ronaldo was in his prime at United. It's about the other side of it. You've got to massage his ego. That's all it is. you have to massage his ego in the correct way. If you don't massage his ego the way he wants it, he will become a drama queen. That's my only thing with him.
That applies to every top player on the
planet.
I know. Look at Mo Salah at Liverpool right now.
In a different way.
Look at Mo Salah at Liverpool right now. He wants a new contract.
Ronaldo and those players are totally different, man. This is what I'm trying to say. The Ronaldo and those players, they're totally different. It's like Ibra. We had Ibra. It's like Ibra was a player that with a personality. He came to our club, but everyone vibed off him. This is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if anyone saw how he spoke to the players in AC Milan's dressing room. It wasn't about himself. With Ronaldo, if you've seen any interview and Ronaldo's won anything and he spoke in the dressing room, it always reverts back to him. That's what I'm trying to say. There's nothing. You can be a winner, but it's then what you rub off to the rest of the team now. That's very important to me personally. That's all it is. I'm nothing against the player. I'm not attacking Ronaldo. I'm just saying about the way he is as a person. Things that he does that is not professional.
I get what you're saying, but respectfully, I think you've got to filter what you hear from the media as well, because they over-exaggerate.
And I think it's understandable. Ronaldo will be upset.
But I don't need to filter it because he done this at Real Madrid. He done it. I've seen documentaries. If you go on Amazon Prime, go onto Amazon Prime. Right? Wait. There's a Juventus documentary, and they asked him, "Why are you not inside getting a massage?" Right? This was his reply. I know my body better than anyone else. No one can tell me what to do. No. Wait. This is what I'm trying to see. This is the thing. If you actually watch the documentary, you will see. And since he's left Juventus, players have spoken out and said the dressing room's actually better since he's left. Loads of them have said it. This is facts. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not attacking him.
Yeah, Juventus.
I'm not attacking him. I say facts. When I come with an argument or debate, I always state facts. I'm not attacking Ronaldo. I'm just saying his personality sometimes doesn't help. That's all it is. I'm not attacking him. Calm down, all right? I'm not attacking him.
Yeah,
I'm just bringing the facts to it.
I think we're all pretty calm here, aren't we?
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I know.
I can understand his point. I think there are some Juventus players who said the same about.
They've come out and said
about saying they've helped more together. But then again, you look at the season Juventus had, they haven't improved since Ronaldo left. So it's one of them.
His season when he was there, they didn't do much either. His last season, they didn't do much.
Stu is a saviour here. I'm sorry, he's a saviour. If anyone's worried about what a serial winner who's won the Ballon d'Or multiple times, the Champions League multiple times, trophies with his national team, if all of these players will follow him and everyone else is worried about these United players not following him, tell them to fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, there's only a couple of clubs in European football that can afford his transfer fee and wages anyway, and those clubs aren't looking to buy him this summer at the moment anyway. So even if we wanted to sell him, I don't think we could. Unless he took a pay cut somewhere.
Yeah. To be fair, on the Ronaldo thing, just quickly, because we're pressing into the time now. But with Ronaldo, I think again he's in that sort of element where, a bit like Luke Shaw, he's the least of our worries at the moment. I think there's far too many problems in the dressing room with current players that want to leave the club. Get them gone, because at the moment, Ronaldo is the absolute least of our worries. We know he's going to be here for another season. He's going to be 38, 39, I think, something along those lines. Yeah. He'll be 38. He might not even extend. He might look at Man United and go, look, I'm going to go now. I'm going to go to another league. He might go back to Portugal. He might go, I doubt he'll go back to Madrid. He might go back to Portugal, play there, and finish his season there. Mm-hmm. I think he's the last of our worries, in all honesty. And I mean, we did obviously come off topic, but I'll quickly jump back on. And again, in the comments, just say if you want to keep or sell this player or try and keep up with him. I think we've all sort of come to agreement that, apart from Ton, that he would rather sell Ronaldo. He's made a very interesting point, to be fair. I think at the moment, though, I think we should keep him and see where we go for next season. Another player, it's probably another controversial one, is Anthony Martial, whether we should keep or sell him. For me, I think just cut our losses now. I think we need to just sell him. I know he went on loan at Sevilla. He didn't exactly light it up there. He got injured loads of times as well. And even Sevilla, some of the comments that are coming out from them are saying, yeah, he's just not good enough. So if he's not good enough for Sevilla, how's he going to be good enough for United? Is my thing. So sell or keep with Martial. What do we think?
So,
My worry is there going to be a club that actually wants to buy him that are willing to pay the wages? Because after that, I mean, the way he's been playing for us, and then he goes on loan and he hasn't exactly set the world on fire. I'm worried that there aren't going to be any takers, and then we're going to have somebody in the dressing room who doesn't want to be there. And I don't know who's going to come in for him.
I could see PSG. If I'm that's the main club that I could see going for him, just because they've just got rid of. Di Maria's just left on the end of his contract. They need another attacking player. Whether they're going to start a new little rebuild and get a new manager, they're probably going to want homegrown players if they can get them in. And I'm assuming that Martial, judging by what has been said previously, would be happy to go and live back in France, back in his homeland. So
I'd personally sell him, but I do think it'll probably be another loan.
Yeah.
There's talk about them getting rid of Ander Herrera as well. Would any of you take him back?
No.
I'm never kind of re-signing players that have left.
Yeah, ship sailed, I think.
Yeah. Marcus Rashford, number 10, sell or keep?
I keep. Well, it's a big season for him.
My heart says keep. My head says sell. If I'm being honest.
Ton, how about you? Sell or keep Rashford?
Rashford. It depends on what happens in the window. Because if we end up getting a right winger, because there is reports that we want one, but it depends on outgoings as well. Definitely get a striker, and then we've got Sancho and. We've got that. We're lopsided on the left already. Where does that leave him? If then a conversation happens where it's like Rashford and the manager sits down and the manager tells him, okay, you have to fight for your place. Now that's a mentality issue. Do you want to stay, fight for your place, fight for your spot in England as well, or you want to go out on loan and prove yourself? That all depends on Rashford and that conversation. What happens? But if we're in a scenario where we buy a striker, buy a winger, and then we've still got the other four at the club, I would rather sell him, to be honest, if that's the situation. If it's the current situation, then stay.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
I
think, again, the next one is going to be pretty obvious, but Jadon Sancho, keep for me. Yeah, everyone's going to prove that one. Anthony Elanga is going to be an interesting one. Sell or keep?
Keep.
Loan.
I'd loan him out.
Loan him? Okay.
I'll turn him into a right back.
Anthony Elanga.
Yeah, why not? He's got good positional sense. He can get up and down. Why not?
He also has the same amount of attacking output as our current fullbacks, which is great.
Yeah, I was going to say. Right. Okay, guys. So thank you. I mean, that's the end of the topics, unless anyone else wants to jump in quickly. But thank you for everyone that's watching in the comments. Thank you for all your comments. It's been a really good chat show today. Thank you for all you guys, Gavin, Henry, Ton, John. Thank you. If you're obviously new here, if you're from Facebook, come over to YouTube for All for United. Give us a subscribe. Give us a like. It really does help us out on the channel. I'm sure if you follow us on Twitter, you'll see the shows that are coming up in the next few days. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, gentlemen, for your discussions. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Take it easy.